I've only been doing it for 27, but anyway, let's begin.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Norbert Tan, and I'm the Director of Operations and Finance for After Hours Advertising. Before I introduce you to our team here, I'd like to say how excited we are to be a part of this new frontier Superbrands is entering. Over the past 16 weeks, we've learned much about a potential huge growing market. And behind me, you not only see the group which I was fortunate to be a part of, but a dedicated, hard-working group of iced coffee drinkers. We already feel like we're part of the Superbrands network, and we'd like to fuse that link tonight. Our mission statement at After Hours Advertising is that we are dedicated to providing our clients with the best strategic thinking and marketing know-how with the ultimate goal of growing our clients' businesses to their fullest potential. Now today, our recommendations are based on three key foundations. One, a consumer's taste for coffee is essential for this product's acceptance. And two, there's an increased demand for an alternative cold, sweet beverage. And third, and most importantly, there's a need to establish a strong brand identity for your product early in this category's development. So without any further ado, let me please introduce you to our After Hours Advertising team. Nancy Goldman, our Director of Business Development. Kathleen Tobin, our Director of Research. Kashari Singh, our Account Group Director. Jennifer Williams, our Media Director. Janet Casper and Susan Flinkenschild, our Creative Directors. And Tara Flynn, our Director of Promotion. So now I'd like to turn it over to Nancy, who's going to give you a brief overview of the competitive environment, as well as highlight some of the trends in the beverage industry as we know it today. Nance?
Thanks, Norbert. For hundreds of years, people have been drinking coffee, and they've been drinking coffee the same way. It's time for a change, and we're going to show you how that change is going to come about. We're going to talk about three major categories in order to find out what's going to happen with packaged coffee. We need to look at coffee, we need to look at soft drinks, and we need to look at new age beverages. The United States is the largest consumer of coffee in the world. In 1962, 75% of the American population was drinking coffee, and it's been declining ever since. And in 1991, only 51% of the American population has been drinking coffee. Although coffee has been declining, there has been a slight little hiccup in the chart of coffee growth, and that's happened just recently. It's basically due to two things: increased sales in ground gourmet coffee and the increase in popularity of coffee houses that are popping up all over urban areas across the country. Coffee is becoming a hip drink. Soft drinks. We need to take a look at soft drinks to see what's happening in the beverage industry. One major important find is that as coffee consumption is decreasing, soft drink consumption is increasing. And in 1977, soft drinks replaced coffee as the highest per capita consumption beverage in the United States. With the introduction of Diet Colas in the early 1980s, soft drink sales increased, and it boosted them through sales in the 80s, although it's recently shown a slight decrease in consumption. Consumers are concerned about calorie content, but they're not willing to give up that cold, sweet preference for soft drinks that they prefer. We looked at coffee, there's a growing taste. We looked at soft drinks, they have a taste for something sweet, but they're concerned about calories. Next, we need to talk about this other beverage category over here. In 1985, fruity flavored, bubbly beverages started coming out into the market. No one knew really what to do with them. They were comprised of bottled waters and sodas and juices. Actually, what new age beverages are flavored sparkling waters, sparkling juices, and natural sodas, hence the new age beverage. New age beverages in 1989 grew at 15%. The sales have slowed steadily, but it's still a popular drink. consumers perceive that new age beverages are a more healthful alternative to diet sodas and to other soft drinks as well. We've taken a look at coffee, soft drinks, and new age beverages. That's what's happening here in the United States. What's really important, too, to look at is what's happening internationally. In the international arena, packaged iced coffee is making major inroads. In fact, it's currently in international test markets, although in Japan is the first nation to successfully launch packaged iced coffee. Sales of packaged iced coffee in Japan have soared between $4 and $6 billion a year annually. They're growing at 10% a year, and they're outselling soft drinks. It's a big deal in Japan. The hope is, in the American coffee industry, is that packaged iced coffee will transcend cultural boundaries and jump into the market and boost up coffee sales in the U.S. Taking a look at what's happening in the beverage industry, what's happening in Japan and internationally, and what we need to look at now is what's happening here within the category of iced coffee. No manufacturer has launched a national campaign for packaged iced coffee. Most launches have been regional, and if they are regional, some of them remain in test markets. There's been no explosion into the market for packaged iced coffee. Let's take a look at basically some of the competitors out there. These are just a few of what we see as the packaged iced coffee competition. We have Capio, Chococino, Hillside, Jamaican Gold, Mocha Cooler, and Panache. 6 of very many that are out there. But as Kathleen will show you later in our research, most of the people that we polled, talked to in our research, found that these were the top name brands that they thought of when they thought of packaged iced coffee. Competitively, there's really not much difference between any one. In terms of advertising, promotional, and media, there's very little being spent right now. Pricing and packaging. Let's take a look at what's happening. Packaging. Most companies are packaging in cans. Take a look at a couple of the cans. Real attractive. Almost all of the packaged iced coffee products have been launched in cans, with the exception of one, Chococino. Chococino launched in bottles, in 4-packs. Currently, Jamaican Gold and Capio are now available in bottles as well. Here, this is a big old bottle. Can looks kind of like this, just as attractive. Pricing's not much different. Prices start for single servings at about 75 cents a can, goes up to $1.10. For multiple servings, like Chococino for 4-packs, start at about $2.74 and go up to $4. Now, it's important to take a look at what's happening immediately in your environment, in your brand's environment, but you need to take a look at what's happening all around you in terms of the whole beverage industry. There's more. Besides just iced coffee, we need to take a look at soft drinks and new age, which we talked about. Hot coffee, bottled water, fruit juices, and iced tea are all very important. They're all beverages that people consume as another cold beverage, and also hot coffee because people have a taste for it, as Norbert told you before. With all this information that we've compiled and research has shown us, packaged iced coffee in the United States has the potential to be a $1 billion market by the year 2000. That's pretty big for an industry that's just starting to grow right now. Let's take a look at all the trends that are happening we just talked about. As soon as I flip this chart. There's a preference for cold, sweet beverages. More coffee is being consumed now. People are still calorie conscious. And people are accepting of alternative cold beverages. We take these all into account, we come up with one finding, that right now, the market is ideal to launch a packaged iced coffee product. With all this information that we've just shown you, brief overview of the competitive environment, what's happening in the marketplace. We wanted to bring you up to speed on what's happening with consumers and what consumers are perceiving to be the new drink. And with that, Kathleen is going to present you with after-hours advertising's research findings. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Research, the old standard check and balances. Well, first of all, packaged iced coffee is an untapped industry. It has tremendous potential to become the new beverage category. And if marketed correctly, don't worry about that, that's our job, it will explode onto the market as it has in Japan. So, we referenced secondary and primary research. Our secondary research came from trade journals, coffee studies, and input from industry experts. What did we find? First of all, packaged iced coffee provides the opportunity to broaden the coffee occasion from that standard wake-up call to a cool afternoon refreshment. And in addition, we have found that with the younger adults, they're looking for a cold beverage alternative. They want something that's cool, they want something that's refreshing, and they want something that's sweet. So that was the basis of our secondary research, which led us directly into our primary research. Our tools consisted of informal interviews, a questionnaire, and a focus group. Our informal interviews, we talked to about 40 different people across the nation, different backgrounds, different ages, and different income levels. And we found that yes, people are drinking iced coffee, and they like it, but they're not familiar with it as a packaged good. So we also found that through our informal interviews, it really gave us an opportunity to get to know our perceived buyer. And we found that, first of all, these people are outgoing. They're willing to try new products. They're physically and socially active, and they're hardworking. But family's important to them. They just never see them. We know what that's about sometimes. Okay, moving into our questionnaire. Our secondary research and our informal interviews, they allowed us to get a good, strong gut feeling of what our potential market was. But we wanted to get out there in the marketplace and find out who our customer was. It's great to talk to 40 people, but let's talk to 200. So we did. We went to LA, grocery stores, and malls, and we just talked and talked and talked. I think we got kicked out of 2. But what did we find? We found that preference for coffee taste is essential. If people don't like coffee, they're not going to drink this product. Number 2, iced coffee versus iced cappuccino. Iced cappuccino was the overwhelming response as the preferred labeling. Consumption occasion. First of all, when are people drinking iced coffee, and how are they drinking it? Right now, they're drinking it at home, in their restaurants, at bars, and they're not too familiar with the packaged iced coffee category. But what is this going to replace when we get them to buy our product? It's going to replace their everyday afternoon refreshment, whether it's a cup of coffee, a beverage, whether it being a cold drink or a bottled water. Calorie content will definitely determine purchase. Competitive awareness. That's one group responded to this failed this on. They weren't too familiar with the category, but they had a good, strong feeling of who was going to be our competition. And those people are our competitors are soft drinks and bottled water. And this all led us to our target, male and female, 18 to 44, and I will allow Norbert to go into more detail with that area later. Going into our focus groups. Okay, now we know who's going to buy your product. We know when they're going to drink it, but what's going to make them buy your product? Number 1, the name. Number 2, the packaging. We gathered 20 people together, 18 to 44. They all drink coffee, and they drink packaged iced coffee as well. We presented to them a list of names, a long list. And all those names, with one name kept coming up time and time again. The name, Ice Cap. Ice Cap. How simple, but so memorable. Ice, representing the cool nature of the product, and cap, a derivative of cappuccino. Our respondents said, yes, clearly identifies the product. Number 2, again, memorable. Number 3, they said that it reflects the cool nature of the product. It has a simple name, but it's easy to remember, and it has a nice twist. Now, moving into our packaging, let me bring it back to our research. Research, again, I want to remind you that said, our consumer said, this product does not belong in a carton, a can, or a bottle container. It belongs in a glass bottle. So, we presented them with 3 options. Number 1, the plastic bottle. What did they say? Product looks unappealing. Does not induce trial. I can see the ingredients separate. I like packaged iced coffee, but that's not going to make me buy it. Number 2, the brown bottle. Brown bottle looks like a beer bottle. Again, does not resemble a high-quality product. And number 3, an opaque bottle. They kind of stood back and they said, hey, this is different. This is going to stand out from the competition. It's kind of eye-catching. So we were happy with that response. That brings together our research. But what does all this research tell us? This research tells us that, yes, you are on the verge of something big, with a capital B. And this trial of this product is definitely dependent on coffee preference, taste, and also packaging is essential that it be attractive to get it to move off the shelf. Now, with that, I would like to introduce Kashari Singh, who's going to bring us through our problems and opportunities and introduce us to our marketing plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Investigating launching an iced coffee product, we ran into a few problems. Problems that would face any new entry into a packaged good, as well as problems that are specific to the iced coffee category. So let's take a look at some of them. Low category awareness. As we've seen, as Nancy has shown us, there are very few people who are aware that there is a packaged iced coffee category. We have competitors who have very minimal advertising and very minimal promotional support. Therefore, we feel that with this relatively uncluttered environment, we have the opportunity to develop a strong brand identity for IceCap, which will make the consumer think, when they think of packaged iced coffee, IceCap. It's very important to establish an identity in the very beginning. Secondly, limited consumer trial. As Kathleen has shown us in the research, of people who have tried iced coffee, they've either tried it in restaurants or had it at home. Very few people have tried it in a packaged form or would even occur to them to drink it in a packaged form. Therefore, again, we feel we have a great opportunity to move in first as a major player in this category and help to develop the category with us in the front. The expected launch of a major competitor. If an iced coffee product were launched by a major competitor, specifically we're talking about Coca-Cola and Nestle, it would soften the impact of IceCap being a first major player. However, the opportunity exists that having a major manufacturer with their considerably larger financial resources and their already established distribution networks, they could help legitimize this category in the consumer's mind, make it a more mainstream product, so that iced coffee is more mainstream, so that when we do launch IceCap in our recommended launch in 1993, it will already be more accepted, more easily accepted, and perhaps the major competitor would have fortified the category enough so that there would be some actual demand for this product. Visually unappealing product. We've heard, even from people who do enjoy this product, that it's ugly. People who even like coffee say it's unappealing. I wouldn't want to drink this out of a bottle. It doesn't look fresh to me. I can see the ingredients separated. This gave us the opportunity to develop fresh, innovative packaging, which is important in a packaged good, that is innovative from both a design standpoint and takes care of this product problem, which I will be showing you later. Problem, consumption occasion. In addition to low category awareness, consumers are confused as where or how or when to drink iced coffee. And they're saying, well, this is very nice, but what do I do with it? Therefore, we're going to take the opportunity through our advertising to educate the consumer so that when they have consumers in the store, they will be both knowledgeable and comfortable purchasing your product. Product placement. Since this beverage is both a coffee and a cold beverage, the retailers are going to be confused as to where to ideally stock this product. Therefore, we are going to address this problem by addressing the trade through advertising and promotions, which we'll discuss later, so that we can eliminate this distribution problem in the very beginning. We don't want to motivate our consumer to come in, get all excited, to try to find the product, and can't find it on the shelf. Excuse me. After reviewing the information and presenting the information we just showed you, After Hours has developed the following marketing plan. Our marketing objectives for the strategic launch of Ice Cap: create awareness to both the trade and the target consumer, establish a specific ice brand identity, generate trial, and achieve a 25% market share after a 12-month period from our planned launch. How will we accomplish this? Firstly, as we said, as we stressed, we want the opportunity to create innovative packaging. So I'd like to present to you Ice Cap, an opaque white bottle, which will accomplish three things. It will hide the unattractive color of the product. 2, it will distinctly separate you from your competitors. And 3, it adds perceived chill to the product, reinforces the cold format of the product, and ties in with the product name. We will also achieve our objectives by coordinating an effective launch strategy, develop educational advertising, and develop complementary promotions that will generate trial to support our advertising. Now, after reviewing market conditions, market trends, our perceived product attributes, we would like to recommend that you position Ice Cap as a new coffee drink for adults seeking cold refreshment. This clearly identifies the product as a coffee to appeal to people who like to drink coffee in the afternoon, preferably in the afternoon, but also positions it as an alternative cold beverage for that afternoon coffee break when they ordinarily would drink coffee, soft drinks, or bottled waters. The actual product. Our secondary research has shown us that in order to be accepted by the marketplace, that packaged iced coffee must contain milk and must contain a sweetener. Therefore, we're recommending we launch Ice Cap in 2 varieties: original, with everything in it, and as you recall from the research that consumers are still calorie conscious, a low-calorie version with NutraSweet, or whatever it becomes when the patent is ended, as a replacement for the sugar. In addition, the coffee beans, we recommend you use a dark roast coffee to maintain the cappuccino flavor, as we remember is the preferred name over iced coffee. Pricing. We recommend that it be priced competitively in the market at 99 cents an individual unit and $2.99 for this handy 4-pack. Distribution. Super Brands International has indicated to us that you plan on using contract packers and food brokers to distribute this product. As I said before, we plan to work with the trade and educate the trade so that we can concentrate on a mass distribution in our target markets, in supermarkets, convenience stores, and service delis. So to further elaborate on our target markets and how they were an important part of our strategic marketing plan, I'd like to give the floor back to Norbert to explain them to you. Thank you.
Okay, now that we've introduced you to Ice Cap, our product, and we know what it is, and also how we're going to position it, let's talk about who's going to be consuming and purchasing this product. Now, we developed our target audience based on the primary and secondary research that Kathleen mentioned earlier, as well as our own intuition to add a dimension and kind of round out who our potential Ice Cap consumer would be. Now, this chart here represents the demographic and psychographic profile of the potential Ice Cap consumer. Adults, 18 to 44, both male and female. Single and childless couples, educated with a medium to high household income. And as we keep mentioning throughout this presentation, it's essential that there's a taste for coffee. So we're targeting coffee drinkers. They're early adopters willing to try new products. Socially and physically active, open-minded, self-assured, and confident. Now, also we have put together a visual collage to help you crystallize the image of our target consumer. Now that we know who's going to purchase and consume IceCap, let's talk about where these people are. Where do they live? Now, we recommend launching IceCap regionally in order to test the product acceptance. We think there's great potential for IceCap to launch nationally. However, by launching regionally initially, it gives us a chance to monitor IceCap's performance at the outset, as well as provide targeted media selection in a cost-efficient manner. Now, because we didn't have any category or brand usage data, what we did, we selected our target market. We selected our markets based on geographic concentration of our target consumer. So we took geodemographic clusters that most closely matched the target audience that I just talked about. So we took two PRISM profiles, the young influentials and the new beginnings, and we took that and combined that in a weighted index with geographic coffee consumption, as well as local market media costs. So we put that in, we mixed it up, and we came out with 15 US markets. And these 15 markets, they total 20% of the US population. And as you can see from this map, which Jennifer spent hours highlighting with a pink highlighter, our regions predominantly lie in the western region of the United States. Now that we've talked about where we recommend launching IceCap, Jennifer is going to talk a little about how we're going to reach this target consumer through media. Jennifer?
Media. How are we going to reach our target consumer? We have two main targets, trade and consumer. Starting with the trade. The main objective of trade media is to generate awareness, paving the way for the brokers to sell the product. We'll do this by targeting key decision makers in both supermarkets and convenience stores. This includes store managers, buyers, and also corporate executives. We recommend reaching these people with 4 publications: Convenience Store News, Progressive Grocer, Supermarket Business, and Supermarket News. These are the key publications that these people turn to for industry information. Now, let's jump ahead to consumer. We recommend beginning our advertising in April and running through September, early October. This way we can take advantage of higher consumption of cold beverages. But with the trade, we'd like to start about 3 months prior to this launch and concentrate our efforts in the first 6 months of the effort. This is when brokers will be most active trying to get product on the shelves. However, we'd also like to maintain exposure throughout 1993. Now, back to consumer. As with the trade, our main objective is to generate awareness of the target consumer. This will ultimately lead to trial and purchase. How are we going to do this? We'll do it by strategically targeting our media to selectively reach our core consumer. So let's talk about this a little further. As you remember, in order to describe our target consumer, using both demographic and psychographic characteristics. Now we can take the same information and reevaluate this target based on their media consumption habits. Now let me give you a little example. Let's take our core target IceCap consumer, and we'll call him Joe. We're going to call him Joe Java, just for fun. Anyway, okay, so Joe gets up in the morning, first thing he does, flips on the radio. That's where we're going to reach him first, on the radio. Then he hops in his car, heads off to work, and probably continuing to listen to the radio, maybe several different formats. Then, as he's driving down the road, drives by an IceCap outdoor poster. Once again, reminding him of the radio message that he just heard. Later in the day, probably continues to listen to the radio, maybe on his way to lunch, possibly at his desk in the afternoon. He probably works late, possibly goes to the gym on the way home, and then when he walks in the door just in time to turn on TV, see Northern Exposure, we hit him again. So that's kind of just a typical ice cap consumer, but we need to get a little more specific about that. We recommend using spot radio. It's the heaviest consumption medium of our target. We also recommend using outdoor. Posters will be the primary medium because they generate a lot of awareness and broad reach very quickly. However, outdoor varies locally on its strengths. In order to accommodate this, we'll adjust our outdoor mix market to market. For example, in San Francisco, it's a very strong public transportation system. In that market, we'll reduce our number of posters and add coverage on BART. Same thing applies for Houston, real strong billboard market. In that market, again, we reduce the number of posters, add bulletins. Spot TV. Can't live without it when you're launching a new product. It's a very strong, broad reach vehicle. However, we need to use it strategically in order to accommodate lighter viewing habits of our target consumer. We'll do this by choosing day parts that are most effective at delivering the ice cap target. Those are prime access, late news. Now, but we're going to take it one step further. Look at prime. Now, in the executional stage, we can monitor our buys to choose programming that are most effective at reaching this target. For example, programming types that do very well, reality-based programs, sophisticated sitcoms and dramas, sports. Tennis does very well against the target. Spot cable. We need to add a schedule of spot cable. With upper and middle incomes, there tends to be a higher incidence of cable subscribers. Sometimes this can result in under-delivery in those households. By adding cable, we can compensate for this. Networks that do very well are A&E, CNN, and VH1. Now, the age-old question. How much is enough? We need to start by setting a communication goal, the number of times it takes to reach our target to motivate them to go out and try the product. After evaluating both marketing, media, and creative factors, we feel that in the introductory period, or the first 3 months, that we need to reach our target 5 or more times and reach 60% of them. Later, in the maintenance period, or the next 3 months, we feel we can reduce that to 4 times, since we've already seeded the message, but again, maintain our reach at 60%. Sorry about that. Anyway, well, how does this all fall out? The flow chart, the graphic representation. As we said before, April through the end of September. Because that first month is key in generating awareness among the target, we recommend running all media in the first month and simultaneously get them with the maximum impact. In May, after we've seeded the message, we recommend sliding our radio and television. This way we can maintain continuity throughout the entire advertising period without compromising on our efficiency. We recommend scheduling outdoor 3 months, spread out near the beginning of the flight, with 2 weeks in between. This way, we can take advantage of overrides that can be negotiated with the outdoor companies. 4 weeks of advertising virtually free. FSIs, we recommend running 3 FSIs throughout the schedule, and Tara will take you through that a little bit further. So there it is. We feel this media plan is going to generate awareness. It's going to work. It's going to get the consumer to go out and purchase the product. Now I'd like to introduce Janet and Susan, who will present our creative ideas. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Creative, it's us.
Okay, great. Now that you've heard our media plan, which has told us where the advertising is
it's going to be placed, and when. Let's talk about that message. First of all, let me start by saying that you have to remember your product is the star of the show. Okay, this is a great innovative new product in a great new category, and it's going to create a lot of excitement because it's the cool alternative these people are looking for. We want to talk to these people, and our main goal here is to just let them know it's out there. They'll buy it. So of course, in setting our creative plan, we have to set some objectives. First of all, we need to establish IceCap's brand image that sets it apart from the competition. We need to educate the consumer that IceCap combines the traditional taste of coffee with a new twist. We need to educate the consumer that they need to reevaluate their drink choices in the afternoon. And finally, and most importantly for a new product, we need to gain trial.
Okay, we've gone through our research and our marketing plan, our media plan, and Susan has just told you about our advertising objectives. Now we all need to step away from all of our analytical thinking we've been doing. We've really been working that left side of our brain tonight, and now we need to pull into that right side as we move into our creative campaign. Susan and I are going to put a little life and color into all those facts and figures we've so far been discussing. We're going to show you a 60-second radio spot, a storyboard for a 30-second television spot. We're going to show you an outdoor board and a trade ad. First, Susan's going to set up our radio spot.
Okay, radio. This is the highest consumption medium for our target, as Jennifer has stated, and it's a great medium for playing with people's imaginations. We want to tell a story, create characters that they can identify with, and put them in situations that they find familiar, or maybe ones that they would like to find familiar. Create a little fantasy for them. Take them on a journey and tell them the story, and maybe this story will just happen to them next week. We're going to have 2 spots with a male and female lead. However, tonight we're going to tell you about Joe's IceCap experience. And this experience is Joe. Average day at work, he has a problem. IceCap is going to solve that problem. And the form of delivery doesn't hurt either.
So, I'm drifting through another monotonous coffee break when I notice everyone's drinking the same boring hot coffee and soft drinks that they've been drinking for the past gazillion years, and I thought to myself, what a dead end. Where's the refreshment? This is not as cool as it could be. Then, that beautiful account executive from the 3rd floor enters the room, and she's got 2 chilled bottles of IceCap, that smooth new coffee drink in the white bottle. She scans the room, passing by the boys with the uncolas, hip-hop and strawberry sparklers, and those flavorless bottled waters. Then she sets her sights on me, and my knees begin to shake. She moves toward me, across the room like a handful of warm smoke. Once at my table, she asks in a sultry voice,
"Would you like an IceCap?"
So, I pinch myself, push the hot Java to the side, and in the smoothest voice I can muster, I say, sure, why not? IceCap, iced cappuccino, the cool way to drink coffee.
Okay, there's our radio. Now Janet's going to take you through our television spot, which basically carries the same message, uses a different character, but hits home with a visual pizzazz.
Okay, now that we've heard Joe and his experience with IceCap, let's move through Julie's experience. We're going to pull a visual transference from the radio onto television. We're going to focus in on a clock. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just about that time we all hope and let's take a little coffee break. We move into the coffee room, but we see everyone drinking that same old hot coffee or soft drink they've been drinking for so long. Cobwebs are starting to grow on these people from their cup to the tables. We look to the next frame and we see a cool wind comes in. It blows the cobwebs and those people look up to see what's going on. We see a handsome young man enter the room. He's a 90s kind of guy with a power suit on and a slick haircut, and he's carrying 2 bottles of IceCap. We see the next frame, we see our narrator, Julie, and she's meeting our handsome young man and sharing the IceCap. And lastly, we've got the product shot of IceCap in that innovative white bottle and a glass of ice to give it that chill. So why don't we walk through it with Julie as she narrates us through her coffee break. So there I was, drifting through another monotonous coffee break, and we hear the clock ticking. When I noticed everyone around me was drinking the same old boring hot coffee and soft drinks they'd been drinking for the past gazillion years. I thought to myself, this isn't refreshment. This isn't as cool as it could be.
Suddenly, he enters the room with 2 chilled bottles of Ice Cap, that cool new coffee drink in the white bottle. He swaggered towards me and looked into my eyes and whispered, "Would you like an Ice Cap?" I gasped for just enough air to whisper, "Why, yes, thank you." And they share an Ice Cap moment. Lastly, Ice cappuccino, the cool way to drink coffee. Okay, with our radio and our television, we're introducing to our target audience that this is the cool new refreshment. It's the new way to drink coffee. Now we want to continue that message through our outdoor board, but yet it has to be simple, being that our target audience has about 5 seconds to read each board. With that, we've come up with our headline, "Where have you been?" Ice Cap, where have you been? You're that innovative new product that everybody's been waiting for. We support it visually with Ice Cap in that innovative white bottle and the glass of ice with that chill. Coffee beans surround both the glass and the Ice Cap, once again tying in that coffee flavor they already love. This wraps up our consumer end of advertising. We've told the consumer what Ice Cap is, and we told them that it's a new refreshment that they are going to love. To make this all work, though, we must first create excitement within the trade. Jennifer has told you in our media that we'll be alerting the trade to Ice Cap's launch 3 months before it actually hits the shelves. So what we need to do is tell the trade and prepare them for the demand that we are going to generate with Ice Cap's launch. With this, we came up with, how could something this cold be so hot? We're telling the trade that Ice Cap is coming and that it is going to move off of their shelves. Visually, we see Ice Cap being snatched away and 2 different hands grabbing for that last bottle of Ice Cap. The copy will tell the trade about Ice Cap and why they need to stock it on their shelves, because people are going to want it. Okay, Susan and I have told you about Ice Cap, our Ice Cap creative. We've demonstrated solid, on-strategy advertising, but what is fun and exciting for the consumer and the trade?
We've created images that these people can identify with and that they can see themselves drinking Ice Cap too. But of course, every good advertising plan needs promotions. Promotional support is the core. It gets the first generated trial of the product. So tonight we have Tara going to tell you about our promotional plan.
Thanks,
Tara.
Susan.
I'd like to show you how our promotions has addressed the 3 key groups in the distribution channel. Starting with our broker, our initial contact, our retailer trade, our access to the consumer, and then our consumer, our product's final destination. Starting with our broker objectives. We want to educate the broker about Ice Cap as a new quality product in the iced coffee category. We also want to influence brokers and persuade them to push it through the distribution channel. We want to convince them about the great potential Ice Cap has in this market. How do we do this? First, through our broker sales kits. The broker sales kit will include information about the growing iced coffee category. It will also include information about Ice Cap's potential in sales. Also, Super Brand International company profile. We'll also hand the broker a retailer sales kit. And the sales kit, it will include information about Ice Cap's sales potential, again, available point of purchase promotional displays, and information showing strong consumer support for Ice Cap. A newsletter. This newsletter will give the brokers information about the newest developments about Ice Cap, as well as upcoming promotional events. Sales incentives. We want to encourage the brokers to sell a product. So we reward them by giving them trips to exotic places such as Jamaica, Hawaii, or even Brazil. Next, our trade objectives. We want to address the trade. We want to create awareness and excitement within the trade. We also want to gain trade support and build strong trade relations. And also obtain merchandising space and build trade inventories. How do we do this? Our trade tactics. Trade conventions. This is very important. 3 months prior to the launch of Ice Cap to get our product out there and to create awareness as well as getting exposure for Ice Cap. point-of-purchase displays, such as end-of-aisle displays that we'll supply the retailers with to also support our advertising campaign as well as drawing attention to our product. Trade deals. We suggest offering a variety of case-off allowances as well as paying slotting fees to gain merchandise space. And finally, the most important, our consumer, the product's final destination. Our objectives are to introduce Ice Cap as a new cold beverage refreshment and generate excitement about this new product. We want to generate trial, create brand awareness, and transfer those trial users into repeat customers. How do we do this? First, in the first 2 weeks that we launch Ice Cap, we strongly suggest using in-store sampling. This would be done by a professional company who not only gives out samples of the product, but also hands out coupons and tells them where to find the merchandise in the store. FSIs. As Jennifer mentioned to you earlier, we suggest using FSIs 3 times throughout the 6-month period, with approximately about 8 weeks in between. These would be coupons, 25 cents off for a single and 75 cents off on the 4-pack. Bottleneck hanger. To add attraction to our packaging, we've designed a bottleneck hanger. The bottleneck hanger will have, again, our attractive logo on the front, additional Ice Cap recipes on the inside, as well as a coupon for immediate redemption, and on the back, places for comments if they'd like additional recipes about Ice Cap or if they just have comments. Bag stuffer. At the checkout stand, when they go to check out, again, our logo on a card with the particular promotional event that we will be sponsoring. Events such as music and art festivals, food festivals, local sports sponsorships. All of these are an excellent place to reach our active target consumer. It also gives us the opportunity to gain exposure and another sampling opportunity. Our Ice Cap Cool Pack. This is done in conjunction with local radio stations. It's a call-in contest where the winners can win an Ice Cap cooler filled with Ice Cap. This would be delivered that afternoon to that particular office that won for a cool, refreshing break. And for all 15 markets, our Cool Off with Ice Cap sweepstakes. This would be, in keeping with our Ice Cap name, the grand prize is a trip to Alaska. This would be a luxury cruise liner, a trip for 2, with all expenses paid trip. Next, second place prize winners will receive a trip to any national park of their choice. Again, keeping in with that cool theme of going to a cool place. And third place prize would be an Ice Cap cooler with a 2-month supply of Ice Cap along with t-shirts and sunglasses. Again, giving us another opportunity to get our product name out there. That concludes a brief overview of all of our promotions. Norbert will now take you through our budget and our closing comments.
Thank you, Tara. Before wrapping up our presentation, I'd like to briefly present you with our recommended budget for the launch of Ice Cap. Now, using the zero-based media planning that Jennifer mentioned earlier, we arrived at an advertising budget of $18 million and a sales promotion budget of $10 million. While these amounts are certainly flexible, we feel strongly that this is a good ballpark figure for supporting a new beverage launch in 20% of the United States. Now, our goal tonight was to provide you with consistent framework as well as a palette of sound recommendations with which to successfully launch your product. Now, our recommendations and strategies, of course, are flexible, as this is a new category, and it has the potential of bursting into the beverage industry like no other product before it. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to learn about after-hours advertising and listen to our recommendations on Ice Cap, the cool way to drink coffee. Thank you.
Yeah, up front you made a conscious decision to position this more as a cappuccino drink, not really as a coffee drink. Wanted to ask you if you thought that was really going to play well in Peoria. It might do well in LA, but how do you think that's going to do well in the remaining of the country?
Well, again, we decided on launching this product regionally. So we took with our prism and all of that, we really selected, tried to narrow it down so we can test ice cap. Cappuccino, as the research pointed out, iced cappuccino was more preferable and it was a more attractive name to this product. And it gives it an implicit upscale image. We're not positioned as a gourmet, just sold in Gelson's type of product. But we want to imply a sort of upscale, new age type of positioning. So, but that is something, again, all our recommendations are flexible, and we plan on doing some research, 6 months down the road as this category comes in, as Coke and Nestle explode onto the market. So,
does it taste like coffee, or is it actually a cappuccino taste? I mean, or wouldn't it make more sense to make it a line extension? To have the iced coffee and the iced cappuccino?
Well, the thing with coffee is, as you all know, when you drink hot coffee, there's an infinitum worth of combinations. It goes from real black to sweet to creamy and so forth. So we would probably go into a little testing and find out what that middle ground taste is. Cappuccino, yes, is perceived as probably a little bitter taste, but again, it will include a cream and a sweetener.
I noticed you didn't use any print in your creative. Wondering what your strategy for that one.
Why didn't we use print? Because for consumer. Actually, we really did consider using print because our target, as you know, they are heavy consumers of magazines. It is a way, print is very good at specifically targeting one group of people. However, which is what we're trying to do. But by doing that, we lose our broad-based coverage, which we're getting with television and with radio. If we add print to the mix, which we did try, we weren't gaining enough by adding it. Our reach was not increasing dramatically. Our frequency was going up a little bit, but really not enough. I like to use the base of, if you're doing a really good job in the mediums that you're using, add another one. But if you're not, or if you feel that you still have somewhere to go, don't do it.
One other question on your target market. I might have missed something, but part of your criteria for a target market were singles or couples without children, and I didn't know how you got to that as part of the...
Okay, that's me. Childless couples. Because we're going after an active consumer, that's not to say that people with children won't do it, but I won't use it. Anyway, back to the question. The idea here was to focus as closely in on one specific group of people. Without category development indexes, we needed to do that. That's not to say that people with children won't, but they will be less active. Children tend to make you a less active consumer. So anyway, that's why. Yes?
A question on the target once again. You have clearly focused on coffee consumption in terms of your market selection and your identification of the target. But I was curious as to coffee consumption among the younger segment. If you're identifying your target as 18 to 44, are you differentiating among some groups there in terms of the potential?
I'll answer this question. You're right. But there is an opportunity here because we found that younger generation, they don't want to consume this age-old beverage the same way. They don't like the hot connotation of coffee. They like the caffeine, they like the flavor, but they want something cold and, again, refreshing. So that's why we're trying to broaden this as a new category. and envelope, bring our young consumer in it as well. But we found that we found that with our consumer 18 to 24, they still are drinking coffee. But generally, we found that they're just drinking it in the morning. We just want to replace their afternoon beverage with this coffee alternative.
Kathleen, can I add to that?
Uh-huh.
We used a United States coffee study, which broke down coffee consumption throughout the country and by age group, and showed that the largest amount of growth, even though coffee overall was not being consumed in large amounts, that the largest amount of growth was in the 20 to 29 age group, which confirmed just our intuitional and our other techniques for selecting the younger target market. Does that help? Okay.
What % of coffee drinkers prefer decaffeinated? Do you know what that is? I don't know the answer to that, I'm asking.
We don't know the exact percentage. We have it in our research. However, we did decide on not initially offering a decaf product because we found that it wasn't a real strong determinant. It's not we do recommend maybe looking into it maybe after further research, but it was an initial consideration because a lot of people looked at this iced coffee as a pick-me-up. They thought, wow, what a great way to refresh the afternoon. And the caffeine was part of that. They would probably drink more in a day if there was decaf, but initially we didn't find that there was any need for a decaf.
And this coffee study also told us that decaffeinated coffee beverages consumption is decreasing. More and more coffee brands are going to more of the half and half to have a little bit of caffeine because people are relying on that jump start.
On the creative, I was curious. You have one of your key findings in your research indicated that the preference for the taste of coffee was very important in the consumer. Yet in your creative, there's no delving into issue of taste or flavor or ingredients in your product. You're locked in on an experience. You're locked in on a day part or consumption occasion, but no product attributes come through. Can you enlighten me on the strategy?
Sure. What we're doing with that is we're initially launching Ice Cap, and we want to tell the consumers that this is a new cold coffee beverage. With all of our visuals, we try to tie in that it is a new cold beverage, but we do try to tie in that coffee flavor with the coffee beans being presented in the outdoor and it being centered around a coffee break at work where we found that it was one of the most popular places to drink this. So we are tying in that the coffee background, but we do want to bring out the fact that it is a cold coffee beverage. So that's why we did a situational, that we focused in on the situation and to where they can drink this coffee.
And people are very familiar with the product, and we also wanted to get them into the idea of an iced cappuccino, rather than just really concentrating on the flavor. We felt like that was very repetitive.
Well, that was another question that I had about the creative. Your positioning as an iced cappuccino versus iced coffee, yet in your execution, I think your theme line was the cool way to drink coffee. There's not a lot of leveraging of the cappuccino positioning.
I think we discovered that cappuccino in itself is a cool version of coffee in a kind of a hip image way. So we wanted to tie in the tagline, the coffee in the tagline, and that was the way we did use to transfer it back to being a coffee-based beverage. It is a cool way to drink coffee, as is hot cappuccino, but it's cooler because it's cold. So that's why we didn't use cappuccino in the tag. We thought that was a perfect opportunity to bring it back down to basics and say, yes, it's a cold coffee, but it's a cappuccino. The distinction is high between the two in some of our target, and others it's a name. They don't really understand that it's a different type of coffee. Does that answer your question?
That's good.
I do want to compliment you on your presentation tonight. It was very informative, and I know how difficult it is to go first in this arena. And now that I'm sure that you've done it, you're probably glad that it's over with. But I do want to ask you on the PRISM cluster analysis. I believe there are 40 PRISM clusters, and you selected 2, which is somewhat narrow casting, and perhaps you may have wanted to look at, and I know I'm crossing over into what's supposed to happen on Tuesday night, Tom, but you may want to have looked at it on a quintile basis to get a larger sample base, because you're projecting rather unstable information to base a whole marketing plan on.
See, actually, that was just part of our one of the elements in our market selection. Jennifer can talk a bit, maybe if you want to know specifically who these clusters are. But what we did, we took a run of the Young Influentials and New Beginnings and took a whole top quintile. But we also took the
well,
top.
I assume those two came from the first quintile. They were obviously ranked number 1 and
Right.
number 2 within the first quintile.
But see, that was just 1/3 of the equation. What we did, we developed a preliminary market list. We took the Prism quintile, but because we wanted to get that coverage, we took the top 20 US ADIs. And in addition, to follow through with our coffee consumption, we took where the high, medium, and low indices were as far as coffee consumption in the United States. And that gave us a list of 101 markets that fell into one of those 3 categories. And then from that, we narrowed it down to about 29 markets in which we implemented the local market radio costs and the TV costs.
You
one
are
more.
correct about that, though, that the base tends to be a little unstable when, that's why we use 2 as opposed to just 1.
Right, no, I realize you use several elements. One more quick question. In your marketing objective, you stated a goal of, it was a regional launch and a 25% market share. Was that 25% of your regional launch only, or?
No, of the category. What we did, there wasn't a lot of information about this category, but what we found, there were some people saying that it was about a $100 million market now, and then a lot of pubs saying, well, it's going to be $1 billion market around the year 2000. And what we did, we just took that on the timeline, as you can see, is one of the exhibits, and we mapped it. Just to give us an idea of where we're at, we mapped out from 100 million to 1 billion. And what we did, we played with the percentages. We know Coke and Nestle will be coming out with a new product, and when they come out, they're going to come out big, probably putting $100 million in media support behind it. So
wouldn't it then be wise to do a smaller scale test and then based on those results to do more of a national launch as opposed to?
well, I feel that's what we're doing. We really selected, we want to launch this product and not, like Coke is testing it in Phoenix and so forth. But we felt we did a good job in selecting 15 targeted markets, and from there we can go nationally as we see how Coke and Nestle does. And again, to reach that $1 billion mark, we used growth percentages, and we actually tailed it down to a growth rate of 10% a year towards the end of the decade. Just because what we see in Japan is it's $4 to $6 billion market, but it's still growing at 10% a year. So that's just how we played with that.
We're out of time almost. One more question.
I'd like to compliment you on your packaging. I think the position of the product and what it's supposed to stand for. I think you really did a nice job on it. I'm a little confused about the coffee cup on there, but I don't want to go under that. But what you've done there is that you've created an image of a product that is cold and faithful to what the name is. Yet in your creative, I'm a little confused as to how to consume the product, because you have this nice looking chilled bottle next to a glass of ice. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to drink it out of the bottle or pour it into the glass of ice. And did you think about that whole issue of convenience, just pop it out of the refrigerator and drink it, or are you suggesting that it has to be poured over ice?
Well, initially with the launch of Ice Cap, being that it is a brand new category, we want to convey the chill with the glass of ice. You can pour it right out of the bottle into a glass of ice, or you can chill it. Basically, what we are doing in the advertising is telling them it is a cold beverage, but you can, with any bottled beverage, drink it cold out of the bottle. I think people understand that when they have a bottled drink, and thus with our advertising, we're just displaying that it's a coffee beverage, but it's cold, and that was the twist to the whole category.
Yeah, it was just a little added extra help for those who didn't quickly identify what the product was. Okay, and also, here's the glass of ice to show you. It can be served on ice, and yes, it is a cold product. Helps a little bit, we thought.
And we didn't want to show that color, again, if we poured it out on ice, which, as we said, was in advertising. So we just wanted to show them an example of how it could be served.
Okay, I think we're out of time.
Thank you very much.